Host Teresa Boda in Buenos Aires. Let's go to James Dorsey. He is an expert on football in the Middle East. He's also a senior fellow at the S. Jaratnam School of International Studies in Singapore. He joins us live from Paris. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on Al Jazeera. We were just hearing our correspondent there in Buenos Aires saying that the president of the Argentine Football Association saying that effectively they cancelled it because of security issues, because they were concerned about the safety of the players. Do you think that that's why Argentina cancelled this game?
I think they had no choice but to cite security, because if they had cited the real reason, which is not wanting to be dragged into a dispute over the status of Jerusalem, they would have actually been violating the rules of the world's soccer governing body, FIFA, which bans political intervention in sports. Now, the security argument in many ways does not hold up, even if it's true that the Islamic State has been circulating online videos of a mock beheading of Lionel Messi dressed in an orange jumpsuit. And there were elements in the Palestinian campaign, particularly images of a T-shirt similar to the one that Lionel Messi wears with bloodstains on it. Obviously, security in Israel is very, very sharp and very strong, and that would have been unlikely. What was much more likely was that there would have been demonstrations on the West Bank in Gaza, possibly clashes with Israeli security forces, and that's not something that the Argentinians wanted to get involved in.
I mean, you mentioned that the Argentinians had to give this reason of security because they can't be seen to politicize football, which, of course, FIFA doesn't allow. And both the Israelis and the Palestinians are kind of accusing each other. The Israelis accusing the Palestinians of politicizing this whole issue. The Palestinians accusing the Israelis of doing the same by moving the match from Haifa to Jerusalem. Is it possible, I guess, in this day and age, to keep politics out of football in an area like the Middle East, where if there's one thing that everyone has in common, it is a love of football?
I mean, the notion of a separation between politics and sports, and politics and football in particular, is pie in the sky. Basically, politics and sports are joined at the hip like Siamese twins, and you cannot separate them. The issue really is on how do you regulate that relationship, and that is something that is not being discussed because of the fact that FIFA and other international sports associations assert that they are separate.
Very briefly, this is being seen by some Palestinians as a victory for the BDS movement, the boycott, divestment and sanctions. Do you think it sets a precedent about playing football matches against Israel in Jerusalem? Do you think that from now on most games will be played in Haifa, otherwise there might be a repeat of what we've seen unfold in the past few days?
I think it is no doubt buoyed both the Palestinian opposition to Israel as well as the BDS movement. I also think that if you look at the Israeli response to the Argentinian decision, that the Israelis are going to dig in their heels. They're going to want these matches in Jerusalem rather than in Haifa. What the fallout is going to be remains to be seen, but it's certain that this will be taken by the boycott movement as a precedent and as a model, and that they're going to look at other opportunities. Those opportunities are not exclusively in sports. They are, for example, the Eurovision contest that Israel is supposed to host next year.
James Dorsey, expert on football in the Middle East. Sir, thank you so much for sharing your views with us. Thank you.
My pleasure.